Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to episode 118 of the Real Academy with the Leadership Doctors. I'm Dr. Tammy Taylor, and my trustmate in education, Dr. Shika Houston, and I are happy that you have chosen to spend some time with us this morning. Good morning, Shika.
Good morning, Tammy. Happy Saturday, everyone. And we're going to greet everyone joining us because you could have been anywhere on this Saturday, but many of you started off with Principal Hurt, who's always on fire. He definitely was on fire this morning. So thank you for joining us, Stacy J, Real Purposeful, September, Devonna Vance Daniels, Miss Principal McKeever Jeter, Melissa Jones Chunu, Principal Sean Hurt, Jasmine Harris. We saw your picture out there with Principal Kafele out in California this past week. Josh, part of our Fantastic Four, Josh Tovar from Texas. Principal Kafele is joining us this morning. We appreciate you, Principal Kafele. And Latanya Stevens, Edwin Garcia, and Principal Rashard Davis out in Las Vegas. So thank you all so much for joining us. Also,
Yes.
Edwin Garcia, I think I got that one. I'm not sure, but thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you.
And
And
good morning again, everybody. Before Shika finishes, congratulations too to all those phenomenal women who
yes.
have led those schools that Principal Hurt highlighted this morning because we know exactly how hard that work is.
Most definitely. And I think that it was great that he gave her that shout out as well as the local media and the school district making sure that they highlighted that work because we can definitely tell you that that doesn't always happen. So, thank you all for joining us. And if this is your first time joining us, we are your leadership doctors. That's HERS. As Tammy stated, we are best-selling authors, speakers, and trainers. We've experienced some microaggressions in the area of leadership. We didn't have a lot of support at the time that we were leading our schools, but even through that, we were able to lead our schools with the help of our dynamic staff members to go up 2 report card grade levels at my middle school, 3 report card grade levels at Tammy's elementary school, all in 1 year. And as Principal Hurt stated this morning, the 1 year is atypical. Normally, the research tells you that it takes about 3 to 5 years, but we were able to do that. We didn't really have a lot of that in district support, but Principal Sean Hurt, Principal Kafele, platforms and people like that are the people that we reached out to for that help. So now we are paying it forward to make sure that people get the help that they need.
Definitely. And the experiences that Shika has mentioned were those things that led us to opportunities to present to educators across the nation and provide support to leaders in what we call our Leadership Trustmate Institute. The Institute is for leaders, aspiring leaders, coaches, and teacher leaders because our goal is to impact as many children as we can.
Most definitely. And we do this work because we know firsthand that districts and organizations, they really struggle to effectively support leaders. This has been stated in many reports, lots of research around it, and this was actually our experience. So today we're specifically talking about the support of Black women in leadership because that's a major part of our work. And as you saw from the intro video, Trevor Noah is a comedian, but he is very, very intelligent and always highlights Black women a great deal. He had a video post that also went viral, just talking about the contributions in the work of Black women. But since antiquity, Black women have suffered, and as many Black people have, at the hands of many people. You saw from the video that the suffrage movement, that work of Black women was not recognized there. A lot of times with the civil rights movement, Black women who had done lots of great things were not spoken about. And sometimes that was due to the times, due to the roles, due to women not having a voice. Sometimes, but due to religious beliefs and what people thought a leader should be, but it is still happening today. We have the Say Her Name movement that, was recently formed because a lot of Black women who were also suffering at the hands of people who should have been protecting them were names weren't mentioned. They were not getting the media publicity that others were getting. So that movement came about just to make sure that acknowledgement was happening. So not getting the support in leadership in the workplace is something that we want to bring awareness around, and that's one of the main reasons why that doesn't happen as far as Black women getting the support that is needed. One of the main reasons that we found through our research is that there's not awareness around it. So it makes people feel uncomfortable when you're talking about race. It makes people feel uncomfortable when you're talking about women and disparities, and that there's a disparity between wages between men and women. So we want to make sure that we're using our platform to highlight that, but also that when we are helping Black women, supporting them, that we're the voice for them with the institutions and the organizations that they work for, making sure that they are aware of these disparities. So that brings us to our topic for today, and we're going to be talking about what it feels like or what can be done for Black women to really feel supported in the workplace. And tell me if you don't mind running through those comments. Um, what that feels like a lot of times. So, one of the first things that we wanted to also bring about before we get into that is that there are a lot of great Black women who we can think of, off the top of our heads that are doing great things, like Oprah Winfrey, the famous Black women that are doing wonderful things that you hear about many times. But in leadership, only 4.4% of Black women are in management positions, and only 1.4 hold executive leadership positions. And there is still a major wage gap. And when Tammy and I look at our data and the disparities that are shown between what is called the achievement gap, but a lot of times we know of it's the opportunity gap. One way that we want to strategically attack that gap is by making sure that Black women have the opportunities for these leadership positions, because if that wrong is corrected, that's going to change the financial state for Black women to be able to do more things for their families, which will trickle to their children. Ultimately, is definitely the goal. A lot of Black women are the heads of households. So this is something that we don't want to just bring awareness to, but we also want to provide that support through one of the programs that we offer. But the first thing that from our research and the article that we're using for today that can be done is to help Black women feel seen and safe. So you may say, what does that mean, seen and safe? Dr. Linnell Plummer, who is the founder of CEO of the Onyx Therapy Group, and I quote, stated that this is acknowledging what I state and how I state it, while not wanting me to mince my words or use semantics that another person is comfortable with. By not skipping over me during team meetings or allowing another person to repeat my words and giving them credit as if the first time that it was stated wasn't even said. By allowing my lived experience to be held with the same reverence as textbook research, and by respecting my chronological time and work boundaries. So, these are some ways that we can make sure that Black women are seen and feel seen and safe in the workplace. And just by being intentional about making sure that they are even present in certain spaces.
Definitely. And one thing that you heard when Sheikah was talking about not having the words of a Black woman repeated, what Black women are saying is, we speak English and don't need an interpreter. You can use my language, even if it isn't textbook. Now, we're not in there with profanity and obscenities. So there's nothing wrong with hearing from a Black woman, whether she is articulating it according to Webster or not. And oftentimes, Black women feel insulted when a Black woman has given a suggestion, and then just within minutes, that same suggestion is made by someone else, and it may have been articulated differently. That
Mhm.
now is this brilliant and wonderful idea. That is something that really offends women, and that is one of those things that can be done to support them. Another thing that can be done to support Black women is to be transparent about pay and benefit structures. The article that we use is a Forbes article, and it referenced a social media post where a woman who worked in HR, was the HR manager, virtually boasted about giving a Black woman candidate the salary that she had requested, even though it was far, far, far below the budgeted salary that the company had prepared to pay this person. So we want to call attention to that, because this needs to be illuminated, because statistically we know that Black women have lower salaries than their white counterparts. They also have lower salaries than Black men, white men, Asian men, and women. And honestly, Black women are the lowest paid, second only to Hispanic women in the workplace, because there is no one there advocating and saying, look, this is wrong. You have to pay them their worth. Why would you pay anyone less than what the salary had been budgeted for? That's
Mhm.
a true slight.
Most definitely. And in the work that Tammy has done through her dissertation work, where she has looked at the lived experiences of Black women, and through our platform, where we researched the phenomenal things that Black women contribute to the workplace, it's been found that the work of Black women is standalone. It's phenomenal. They work with great passion despite the lower wages, and they come through, they get results. So that is very well known. And companies that have more diversity within the organization fare well as far as their bottom line revenue is concerned, than others that do not. So the next thing that can be done to make sure that that support is there for Black women is to ask these questions. And this is if you are not a Black person, because in order for the spaces that don't comprise us to change, it's going to have to be conversations like these to be had, but also people are going to have to look at their practices and change those practices and become true allies. So the first thing that you can do is ask yourself this question: if you are a non-Black person, how would I feel if I were the only person in the room? And so this could be for a man, this could be for someone who is a different race. What would that feel like? This takes away that tokenism behavior, because that behavior means that, oh, well, if I just hire one, we're doing good. But tokenism actually minimizes the voices of Black women and anyone who is of color who has been added for a tokenized reason. Because what happens is the majority still overtakes a lot of times conversations, and that culture is still the one that is pushed through the organization. The other thing that can be done are temperature checks to ask specifically, and we're talking about Black women today, how are things going? And when you ask this question, don't ask just to have a response. Ask to actually hear and to make sure that our diversity, equity, inclusion practices are not just quotes on a website. The positions are not tokenized positions to say that we definitely believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. But when you look at our executive leadership, every picture is someone not of color, not a Black woman to be found anywhere. So make sure we're asking ourselves these questions so that we don't just have statements and tokenized things without action behind them.
And in addition, make sure that if you are the Black person that is in the space, that you recognize that, oh, I'm good because I'm the one that's here. Make sure you remember that each one of us can reach one of us. And when each one reaches one, we will change the dynamics of the space, and there will be more of us in those spaces. The
Most
other thing
definitely.
that we can do is to let Black women be themselves. Like, don't police our hair, our communication style, the way
Mhm.
we express ourselves authentically. That's a part of being who we are. And don't place restraints on me based on the mainstream standards, because those standards have been defined by another group of people who are the right people. We don't have that answer. There is no right, there's no wrong. We are all a part of what is supposed to be the greatest society that has ever existed. So I want you not to judge me if I am going to have to get my mind right to deal with the microaggressions and those small, subtle things that happen on a day to day that tries to minimize the accomplishments, number one, that some of us have made, or to place you in a box that forces you to not do what you think the right thing to do is because it's outside of what people consider the norm. Respect that we're healing from generational trauma and
Mhm.
constraints that have been placed on us from long, long, long ago. Shika mentioned antiquity. Just be willing to accept the fact that we are dealing with those things that happened in antiquity.
Most definitely. And as we're closing, and a lot of you have put up some really great comments, and we will definitely include these in our conversations in the coming weeks. The things that we have talked about today, as you can see these images here, I'm a visual person, so I love imagery. They attempt to erase the importance and the contributions of Black women. They attempt to silence Black women, and those are the things that we have to make sure that our practices are moving away from. And we definitely want to change that trajectory for Black women, their families, that we know will change the trajectory of lives of children as well. So, one of the things that we are very excited about is a partnership that we have with the University of South Carolina, where we will start to lead a national conversation about the paradigm for Africana womanism and how this could be the thing that helps bring light to the awareness that we're talking about, but also provide that support net and that network that a lot of Black women lack. And even I think Dr. Miss Stevens put that comment up about Black women are so happy sometimes to get a position, just to get a seat at the table, that they don't even negotiate their salaries the way that men do. So these networks, this support will provide that support to make sure that Black women are not selling themselves short, and to make sure that we actually have a true paradigm and support for our leadership practices to actually develop them. So that's one of the things that we do with our cultivation program specifically for Black women leaders. Build My Sister is where we work with helping you identify your true identity, where you can lead authentically. Those collaborative structures that are there, the mentoring is provided, as well as the coaching. Because once we do get those positions, and sometimes in very um, majority white spaces, you need support in order to make sure that you can truly lead authentically, but the organization also needs to know how to support you as well. So a lot of Black women have reached out to us. We are looking forward to bringing awareness to organizations around this and providing that true support for Black women. But we definitely want to invite anyone who is in this area to that event on December the 9th, and we'll be posting this on our page. It will be a hybrid event as well. So those of you that are, out of town, we definitely want you to be a part of the conversation as well. But we are very excited about this work, and definitely excited to support Black women and change the lives of Black women and our children. So we are at our time. Make sure that you are joining Principal Kafele next. Will have a phenomenal Black woman guest on, Dr. Goldie Muhammad, who we are definitely familiar with her work. And also back on Saturday, Principal Sean Hurt starts us off the Fantastic Four at 10 a.m. on Saturdays. Dr. Taylor and I, my trust mate in education, are here with you at 10:30 with Create and Educate. And then on Sundays, Unlock the Middle with Josh Tovar and Dean will bring us great information. And throughout the week, Dr. Ross Gaskin. So have a great rest of your Saturday,
Yes,
everyone.
guys. And just a footnote, this one will not be hybrid. The one that we do
Okay.
in the spring will be a hybrid event. This one is going to be just an in-person event because of the way that it has been structured. But
Okay.
if you can come, please do come. The women that were in my dissertation study are going to be there, some of them, and I think you all will truly enjoy it. So thanks, guys, and have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.
Thank you.